All right, so this is an ice maker. Now, what I want to talk about on this one, if you're having a similar situation. Now, I was on a call and I was just way too busy. I couldn't do a video, and sometimes you just can't. So, but I dealt with it. I dealt with that, and the issue was the refrigerator was letting too much water into the ice maker. So the mold, this is the mold of the ice maker. So water comes in here and it's pre-measured to fill the mold. Now, when it fills up, it doesn't go all the way to the top. It goes just a little bit on below. So the idea is when it's perfectly filled, the water will freeze at a certain time. The heater will come on and it will melt the ice slightly for the arm to eject it. That's how that portion works. So if you notice that you're having water leaking into the refrigerator, dripping down, making a mess, it could be because your ice maker is not measuring the water correctly. Now, a couple of things can cause that. You might have either too much water pressure, or you might have a reverse osmosis system sometimes, or dual filter, meaning you have a house filtration and then you also have the filter on your refrigerator. So sometimes that can lower the pressure on the valve coming in, and it changes the volume and flow rate of the water. So sometimes you get too much or too little, or maybe from the factory it was never calibrated correctly. So it could be a couple things. In fact, the unit, it was on a Gen Air. So a couple different manufacturers will use this particular ice maker. It is not exclusive to Frigidaire, but this style is mainly Frigidaire from what I've seen. So if you look closely, this dial tells you you can adjust it to increase. Okay, so get a little closer. Okay, you see the plus and the minus. Let's see if I can bring you guys in better. All right, so you have plus and minus. So, for example, let's say you're letting too much water, so you would minus. So you would reduce the flow of water going in. So what I like to do, have a marker, and it's always good to have a preset mark. So you could literally mark it, okay? And also, basically you know that this portion is marked, and you know, you just have a reference point, okay? Anything that's going to help you to keep alignment. Now, this is the plus, okay, and negative. A little bit easier to see. So if you're going to be increasing, you are going to be adding, okay? So to add, this way, and then to decrease is that way. So you would do a turn, okay? And you get your Phillips screwdriver. Now, keep in mind what you would do. Let's say you do one rotation, okay? So let's say we're going to add, let's say we're letting in too much water, so we need to reduce, okay? So if you turn it, you got to pay attention to the arrows now, okay? That way it's reducing. So sometimes these things are not as explanatory. So less, my pen is not working, marker. Less is here, okay? That way. More is this way. Maybe that helps, I don't know. All right, so what you would do, you would count. So let's say we want to add more water. So you would turn, and you could, it depends on your situation. I wouldn't know. So if you need more water, do slow, very slight turns. Don't do anything crazy. Maybe half turn. Okay. And that mark will help you. And if you do one full rotation, then you can add, write it up there, one turn. Okay. And if you want to put it back, you knew where it was, right there on the top. Now if you want to add more, then you turn that way, and so forth. So we'll put this one back where it was, because so far I didn't have a problem with this Icemaker. All right, so that's how you would deal with that, and that will basically keep the water from overflowing. Now, here's one thing to do before you do any of this. Take the Icemaker out. If you have water in there or ice cubes, you will always be overflowing because the machine might not be ejecting the ice. And if you keep adding water to the ice, it's going to overflow. So start off by removing, melting the ice, dump it out, install the Icemaker back, and start fresh. Now, if you notice after that, then yes, you will need to do your adjustment. All right. Thanks for watching.